Investors are also warned that we do not want humans to have the same fate as dinosaurs, which is a fair point, I suppose. It's the kind of sentence that gets you excited about what the risk disclosure section will look like. The document then goes on to outline a string of future. What we're looking at is quite possibly the most extraordinary document in the history of American securities regulation.
Change the rules. Those S&P 500 funds will be forced to buy SpaceX even at the stupid valuation. I would have to see the rule change. I literally, especially after the GME thing, I just don't trust anybody on finance. Oh, I trust one man.
Dan. Oh.
Patrick Boyle. Whatever he says.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Oh, if he hasn't made a video on it, I don't have an opinion about it. So unless that's that. Is this the SpaceX from 2 weeks ago? Is that when this was?
When a company decides to go public, they're required by the Securities and Exchange Commission to file an S-1 prospectus. Historically, these are some of the driest documents ever committed to paper. They're written by corporate lawyers for other corporate lawyers to ensure that no one anywhere is ever accidentally entertained. But 2 days ago, SpaceX filed its paperwork to go public. And reading through it, it became immediately clear that this was not going to be your typical legal disclosure. For a start, it opened with 14 pages of photographs of rockets.
Yes! It's Joan! Please put more pictures of my legal filings. Hell yes.
Which reminded me of Adam Newman's ill-fated WeWork prospectus, which famously opened with the line, "We dedicate this to the energy of we, greater than any one of us, but inside each of us."
Everything, remember guys, everything is marketing, okay? At the very beginning of my deposition, I say, "Good morning. Thank you for deposing me, Joan. Make sure to make an account at destiny.gg/embed/chat and to tier 5." I'm just kidding.
That document was later described as one of the worst IPO filings in Wall Street history. The SpaceX prospectus is similarly unconventional, though I will say the rockets are more photogenic than the WeWork community photographs were.
Dude, I'm so excited for your Polymarket thing later.
I already did. I already went through a little bit yesterday. Oh, I need to figure out how to deposit on there. I think you have to go through like USDC or whatever. You have to do like a crypto exchange if you're in America, apparently. Is that true? Did I just make that up? Okay, I think I'm right.
The document is also filled with phrases that I'm fairly confident have never appeared in an SEC filing before. Under the business strategy section, right alongside standard disclosures about lease agreements and accounting standards, management explains that their primary objective is to extend the light of consciousness to the
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
stars, a phrase that appears 10 separate times in the filing, which suggests that it wasn't a typo. Investors are also warned that we do not want humans to have the same fate as dinosaurs, which is a fair point, I suppose. It's the kind of sentence that gets you excited about what the risk disclosure section will look like. The document then goes on to outline a string of future business lines that read like science fiction. They include long-haul point-to-point terrestrial travel, which I think means traveling around the Earth in rockets rather than in airplanes, in-orbit manufacturing, yes, in orbit, passenger and cargo transportation to the Moon and Mars, manufacturing and energy production on the Moon and Mars, and asteroid mining. Because why mine for resources on Earth when you can chase down an asteroid in the hope that you'll find useful minerals on it?
Hell yes.
The acronym AI appears over 200 times in the document. The word consciousness appears 10 times. The word profit appears somewhat less frequently than either of those.
Who cares?
What we're looking at is quite possibly the most extraordinary document in the history of American securities regulation. And today, we're going to go through it because every single thing I'm about to tell you, no matter how absurd it sounds, comes directly from the filing.
Wait! I asked if this is going to have anything to do with like the new rule thing that people were complaining about. Is this is going to have nothing to do with it, is it? And everybody just said third video because it said SpaceX on it.
It is.
Is it? Will it? It better.
Yes.
It better move.
Go to the transcript.
I'm about to smack your ass.
Smack my ass. Call me lass.
SpaceX for the last 2 decades, you probably think of it as a rocket company. In recent years, with the rapid expansion of Starlink, you might have updated that to a satellite internet company. But if you read the IPO prospectus, you're in for a surprise. SpaceX is now apparently an AI company. According to the document, 93% of the company's total addressable market is attributed to AI. And based on the capital expenditure breakdown, roughly 60% of all spending is now going into artificial intelligence infrastructure. The prospectus breaks down the business into 3 segments: space, connectivity, and AI. In the first quarter of 2026, the space division, the part that actually...
What kind of merger? I complain about horizontal and vertical merger. What would this be? An orthogonal merger? What would you even... The acquisition of XAI or whatever for space, I don't even know, bro. I don't even know what 5D acquisition merger.
And launches rockets, lost $662 million. The connectivity division, which is Starlink, turned a $1.1 billion profit. The AI division lost $2.5 billion.
Orthogonal, not orthogonal. Sorry, orthogonal. Fuck.
In just the last...
You got to learn that philosophy. That's a real high IQ word.
3 months.
Orthogonal? What does SpaceX even do? Yes. SpaceX gives you cheap internet, and it exists as a micro deformed incest company to have their valuation fucked with by absorbing XAI that are both have huge.
They put satellites in space.
Elon, yeah, but I think it's like the vast majority of that company I think is XAI equity right now.
Really?
I think is it like 90% or something, isn't it? Or am I making that up?
That sounds insane. I'm pretty sure it's the space shit.
Was that too much?
Let's look.
In for a surprise, SpaceX is now apparently an AI company. According to the document, 93% of the company's total addressable market is attributed
The majority of
to
its
AI.
roughly $1.75 trillion valuation is driven by its satellite internet division, Starlink. Starlink accounts for the vast majority of the company's financial value, representing 61 to 80% of SpaceX's total sales.
Total addressable market is an estimate for where they expect their expenditures to be in the future, or the markets that they're aiming to impact in the future, right? Is that what this means then? I'm trying. I don't. Control F. Total addressable market. Where are you at, Investopedia? There is no Investopedia article on this. Oh God, we have to go to Wikipedia for finance.
Oh no, I saw someone talk about you again.
Total addressable market is a term that is typically used to reference the revenue opportunity for a product or service. TAM helps prioritize business opportunities by serving as a size metric of a given company's underlying potential. Okay. So their future market they see as being enterprise applications, which, or all of these things are AI related. So space, the total market that they could capture for space related stuff is 370 billion. The total market for connectivity, Starlink, broadband, and mobile is 1.6 trillion. And then for AI, it is 26.5 trillion.
And based on the capital expenditure breakdown, roughly 60% of all spending is now going into artificial intelligence infrastructure. The prospectus breaks down the business into three segments: space, connectivity, and AI. In the first quarter of 2026, the space division, the part that actually builds and launches rockets, lost $662 million. The connectivity division, which is Starlink, turned a $1.1 billion profit. The AI division lost $2.5 billion in just the last 3 months. The only division that makes money is the satellite internet business. Everything else loses money. When Musk says that...
Sorry, hold on. I need to listen. Fuck, I shouldn't have opened this stupid fucking thing.
2026, the space division, the part that actually builds and launches rockets, lost $662 million. The connectivity division, which is Starlink, turned a $1.1 billion profit. The AI division lost $2.5 billion in just...
Is that how would you even do the accounting for that? Is that fair? My guess is that the connectivity market probably is completely and totally reliant on their space market, right? So like...
What would the connectivity market be, for example?
Like selling like Starlink, basically.
Oh, okay.
So like if they're losing money launching rockets, but they're earning money selling Starlink, then I mean,
they're technically gaining money by launching the
rockets, yeah, because it's part of it, right? Yeah.
Just the last 3 months. The only division that makes money is the satellite internet business. Everything else loses money. When Musk says that this is an AI company, what he means is that the one business that actually works is subsidizing a money-losing AI venture, while he tries to convince public market investors that the money-losing AI venture is the entire reason the company's worth $1.75 trillion. If we look past the talk of extending consciousness to the stars and focus purely on the income statement, the financial reality of SpaceX is bracing. Before we dig into that, let me tell you about this week's video sponsor, Saily. If you travel at all, you'll know the dread of landing somewhere new and watching your phone bill explode with roaming charges.
Like landing on an asteroid with a SpaceX rocket.
Before you've even grabbed your bag. Saily fixes that. It's an eSIM app that gives you affordable data across more than 200 destinations worldwide. And here's the part I really like. You only install the eSIM once. That's it.
Yes!
One app,
You
one
said
install.
worldwide.
And every
Problem?
time you travel
Shut up.
somewhere new, you just pick a plan for that country and go. No swapping SIM cards, no hunting for a local provider, no installing anything again. With Saily, you sort everything out before you leave home. Choose your destination, a plan that suits your needs, and when you land, your phone connects automatically to a local network.
Wow.
The plans are
I got a
affordable,
good
and because you're
question.
on...
You're an
What?
Instagram reeler, right?
Oh, I am a reeler. What do you need?
Have you seen the Jason Page stuff at all?
What's that guy?
He's the Pokemon guy who sang the song.
Fuck.
He sang the Pokemon song, and he did like a scamming of like a kid apparently or whatever.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's all over my fucking feed, so I thought you might get it.
Oh boy.
on a local data plan rather than roaming. There are no unexpected charges appearing on your bill afterwards. You can get a car, pull up maps, or call ahead to the hotel the minute you step off the plane. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans, download Saily app and use the code BOILE at checkout. In 2025, the company generated $18.7 billion in revenue. Now, $18.7 billion is a lot of money, but at a proposed valuation of $1.75 trillion, SpaceX is asking investors to value it at almost 100 times its revenue.
Base.
If SpaceX were dropped into the S&P 500 today, it would be the 7th largest company in the index by market cap.
Base.
But if you ranked it by actual revenue, it wouldn't even meet 200.
No one cares.
It would be down near Kellogg's, the maker of Fruit Loops breakfast cereal. You get the point. Unlike Kellogg's, SpaceX is not profitable. Space exploration is just a tougher business than breakfast. Last year, SpaceX posted a net loss of $4.94 billion. What makes this number remarkable is that Starlink actually generated $4.4 billion in operating profit. That means the rest of the business ate up more than $9 billion in a single year. Since its founding, SpaceX has accumulated over $37 billion in losses, more than any other company that has ever gone public in history.
Problem.
And there are no signs of the cash burn slowing down. Capital expenditure reached $20.7 billion last year, quintupling from 2023, driven by Starlink expansion, Starship development, and AI infrastructure spending. To fund all of this, the company is carrying $29 billion in debt, including a $20 billion bridge loan taken out in March 2026, 8 weeks ago. So when investors hand over $75 billion in this IPO, a meaningful portion of it may not be going to orbital data centers or a Mars colony. It goes straight back to the banks who lent SpaceX money 8 weeks ago. Now, to be fair, the company is growing. Revenue is up somewhere between 33 and 43% annually, which is genuinely impressive. But that growth is coming entirely from Starlink, not the AI business. And even that growth comes with a caveat. Starlink's average revenue per user has fallen by around 18% since 2023, as the company is discounting aggressively to juice its subscriber numbers before the IPO. Back in April 2018, Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, stood on a TED stage and made the promise, within a decade, she told the audience, people would be taking 30-minute rocket trips from New York to Shanghai. These rockets would compete with long-haul airlines, making up to 10 flights per day. That decade expires in under 2 years now, which is not much time to figure out how to safely replace the jumbo jet with a reusable ballistic missile that requires passengers to withstand 3 Gs at takeoff.
Problem.
Now, if you were paying attention earlier, you may remember the phrase long-haul point-to-point terrestrial travel from the prospectus. That is this product. It is still being pitched to investors as a future revenue stream. There's no sign of a commercial commuter rocket, and there are under 2 years left on the clock. In the list of yet-to-be-realized business lines, there's a section on payment processing. Twitter, Elon Musk's everything app, has been talking about becoming a financial services platform for several years now. They've secured money
finally! I want to ask Grok for a loan.
transmitter licenses in a handful of US states, but they don't have a functioning payments product yet. So SpaceX is now partially in the business of filing paperwork with the Nevada Department of Business and Industry in pursuit of the dream of processing an $8 peer-to-peer
Why do we
payment
let
on a
businesses
rocket
do
company's
everything? Why?
Stop being a slopulist, retard.
social media platform. SpaceX claims its total addressable market is $28.5 trillion. This is larger than the entire GDP of the United States,
So?
and almost
That's called being ambitious.
entirely built on businesses that do not yet exist.
So?
As the Financial Times Lex column noted, the market has never before had to price a stock this speculative at this size, which is probably worth keeping in mind. According to the prospectus, enterprise applications of AI make up to
This guy doesn't realize everybody can just leverage
80% of
Stop.
SpaceX's total addressable market. This means they expect large businesses to pay for Musk's AI tools to improve product.
Whoa! YouTube guy, Drama Slop update. Drama Slop, a doobie, has been arguing hard on Connor's server and actually getting a lot of pushback, not from Connor lol. Connor's community is, for better or for worse, I think much smarter than Connor. Connor's brain is just completely broken. He's gone. Connor is lost
He's
into the
done.
whirlpool of retarded bullshit.
How didn't you notice that this was happening?
Who? Me?
Yeah, weren't there warning signs, Steven?
I don't know. Were there?
I don't know.
Activity. If you add in consumer AI, the total AI share of the claimed addressable market rises to 93%. So 93% of the company's value is Grok. Now, I want to be careful here because 80% of a $28.5 trillion market is an enormous number. So it's worth asking which enterprises are currently using Grok. And from what I can tell, the primary documented use cases for Grok are fact-checking tweets and generating non-consensual nude images that have resulted in regulatory investigations
I thought it doesn't do that anymore. Didn't they stop that?
in Spain, France, and the UK, and at least one ongoing lawsuit, which is not exactly the enterprise productivity pitch that I was expecting. The filing effectively concedes that the enterprise AI market is dominated by OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. SpaceX's own AI product,
Google.
Grok, holds a market share
Shut
of
up.
roughly 3.4%. According to Bloomberg, SpaceX's own engineers have been slow to adopt Grok for technical work because it underperforms rival tools. Last month, Musk himself said that the AI code would need to be rebuilt from scratch, shortly after he sold XAI to SpaceX for $250 billion.
True. Everything rebuilt from the ground up. God, he's so fucking smart and ambitious. I love it when he says that over and over again.
His solution to Grok's weakness in coding was to attempt to acquire Cursor, the tool his own engineers were actually using, for $60 billion, with a $10 billion break fee if the deal falls through. The company, whose AI product represents 93% of its claimed addressable market, has a flagship product its own engineers won't use, and is spending $60 billion trying to buy a competitor so that they can get it to work. SpaceX's near-term AI revenue story rests substantially on a $15 billion a year deal to rent compute capacity to Anthropic, one of the very competitors whose existence proves that Grok is losing the AI race. So SpaceX is basically space CoreWeave. If SpaceX were genuinely going to be a dominant AI company, it would need that computing power that it owns for its own models. If Volkswagen were renting out all of its car factories, would anyone describe Volkswagen as still being in the car business? The more pressing problem is that this $15 billion a year contract, roughly 40% of projected near-term revenues, can be cancelled by Anthropic with 90 days notice. SpaceX's entire AI business model at the moment is renting GPUs to a competitor on terms that can vanish in a fiscal quarter. If SpaceX's total addressable market is $28.5 trillion and 93% of it is AI, then by SpaceX's own logic, the leading AI companies must be worth vastly more than SpaceX. Anthropic's quarterly revenue is already roughly double SpaceX's entire AI segment revenue. Both Anthropic and OpenAI are reportedly filing for IPOs at approximately $1 trillion valuations. And yet, SpaceX wants $1.75 trillion on the basis of a market its direct competitors are winning. Now, if you've been wondering exactly who is buying the Tesla Cybertruck, the SpaceX prospectus finally provides an answer. It turns out it was SpaceX. According to the filings, SpaceX purchased $650 million in goods from Tesla last year. This included $131 million spent on Cybertrucks, all at full retail price. No volume discount, which is notable given how hard Tesla has found them to sell. That works out at roughly 1,500 vehicles. At one point in the fourth quarter of 2025, SpaceX single-handedly accounted for 18% of all Cybertruck registrations.
I'm sorry, but how is that legal? What, companies can't buy things from other companies now? Sanvega_? You fucking retard?
The United States. Using shareholder money from one company that you control to support the sales figures of another company you control
is totally okay and totally legitimate and totally awesome, especially when you're starting to IPO these companies and put them on the public market. That's so cool.
Right before both companies face major financial events is generally considered not ideal corporate governance.
Yeah. Well, then, if that's the case, then we will expect the SEC to step in and regulate these things immediately. So we're fine.
There is also a small accounting discrepancy worth mentioning. SpaceX reports buying roughly $650 million of goods from Tesla last year, and Tesla's own filings report selling $573 million of goods to SpaceX. So somewhere between Austin and Boca Chica, $77 million seems to have fallen off the back of a truck, presumably a Cybertruck. But a few thousand overpriced pickup trucks are the least of the related party concerns in this document. Antonia Gracias is a long-term Musk ally and a sitting member of the SpaceX board of directors.
Just curious, how much would it take to compare Musk to Madoff? The problem with Bernie Madoff was he was cooking the books. Elon Musk is cooking people's brains. It's a different thing. You can't really compare the two.
He also runs a private investment firm called Valor Equity Partners. According to the IPO prospectus, SpaceX and XAI are carrying more than $20 billion in AI infrastructure lease obligations tied to agreements with entities connected to Valor. Some of these deals are structured as what accountants call failed sale leasebacks. Normally in a sale leaseback, a company sells an asset to an investor, gets cash up front and leases the asset back, removing it from the balance sheet. When the transaction fails to qualify as a genuine sale under accounting rules, the asset stays on the books and the associated payment obligations get recorded as debt instead. The practical effect is that SpaceX is carrying billions in obligations to a firm run by one of its own board members on its balance sheet.
You got a dono.
XAI's GPU fleet is running at about 11% utilization, awful, during their training runs. When Elon says they rebuilt it from scratch, it's more like they built it vaguely correct. Wow.
That's $20 in your pocket.
$20. I don't know how I feel about this whole SpaceX Tesla shit. I should go on to X, the totally independent platform, and scroll my newsfeed there to see how I feel about this so I can have better opinions about what's going on between Elon's two companies here.
That was a good buy of him. It was smart.
It's once again considered good practice to board members who don't have $20 billion worth of high-interest financial loans with the company they're supposed to be overseeing. But anyhow, Back in 2016, Elon Musk used Tesla's shareholder money to acquire Solar City, a struggling solar company that he also chaired and partly owned. To help justify the deal, he staged a public demonstration of Solar City's solar roof tiles during the acquisition negotiations. The tiles were later found by a Delaware court to have been actually inoperable and far from ready to go to market. At the time of the demonstration, the court reviewed the entire transaction under its strictest standard of scrutiny, describing the process as deeply flawed, noted Musk's apparent inability to acknowledge his clear conflict of interest, and then found the deal entirely fair anyway, largely because 85% of the shareholders had approved it, and Tesla stock subsequently went up. The judge declined to award Musk his legal costs, which is the Delaware Court of Chancery's version of a strongly worded letter.
Damn, he must have paid $25,000 for that lawyer. Damn.
Musk later had a falling out with Delaware over his Tesla pay package and reincorporated in Texas. He has now completed a structurally similar acquisition, this time of XAI, in a state with far more lax securities rules. In Texas, to bring a derivative lawsuit against SpaceX, a shareholder must own at least 3% of the company. At the current valuation, that's approximately $52 billion worth of stock. To win any lawsuit, they must prove not just a breach of fiduciary duty, but specifically fraud, intentional misconduct, or a knowing violation of law. A conflicted transaction, even one with no independent oversight whatsoever, does not meet that standard on its own. And if you want...
The Fifth Circuit, I think, is what Texas is in. That's where we read, oh my God, what was that one judge? What was that? I don't even remember what we read about. It was, I think it was a Fifth Circuit judge, though.
Were they cooking?
Oh no, it was retarded. It was insane. What was he? Fuck, what am I trying to think? What election did this have to do with? Did it have to do with whether or not Biden was controlling Twitter or something?
What?
It was a circuit. I believe it was it wasn't a district court in Texas. I thought it was a circuit court of appeals. It was a crazy, when we were reading, this was insane. Fuck, somebody will remember what we were reading.
Wanted to go looking for the internal emails that might help you to prove fraud, as shareholders did so effectively in Delaware, Texas corporate law now explicitly excludes emails and text messages from shareholder document requests. When Tesla reincorporated in Texas, Governor Greg Abbott posted...
It was I'm just saying, the judge's writing, was it that 3-panel opinion? Yes, Kafka. Was that a circuit opinion, or was it just a Texas court, like a federal district of Texas court thing? It was a crazy opinion. I believe it was a 3-panel district court. Maybe it was a district court. It was still a federal judge. The guy was talking about the fake news Biden, whatever. It was crazy. I thought I was reading something my mom or dad wrote. It was insane. Fuck, somebody find me that. Somebody find it.
Posted on Twitter to personally congratulate Musk and wish him well, which gives you a reasonable sense of the regulatory environment. The lesson that Musk appears to have drawn from Solar City is not don't do conflicted acquisitions, it's do them somewhere with friendlier courts. The clearest beneficiaries of this acquisition are not the SpaceX engineers trying to get to Mars, they're the venture capitalists and banks, including Morgan Stanley.
I feel like one of the most annoying things, I don't know if people talk about this or kind of, okay? Rare stream. Very rare stream. Very, very, very rare.
You about to draw?
I'm about to take pity on the middle class, okay?
No.
Very rare moment. Rarest moment in time, okay? I feel like there is this weird bubble where once you start to become pretty wealthy, not only do you have a lot of money, but you start to get access to things where you don't even have to spend money for things. So you get a bunch of shit that you technically could afford, but you don't even need to buy it anymore because you have the right friends in the right places. So when it comes to gaming and stuff, in my industry, if you really wanted a new GPU or a new computer or whatever, it was super easy to just get hooked up with these things and never have to pay for it, right? I think it might even have been Albert or OTV that gave me a free 1080 Ti way back then just because they had an extra one. Or when people are at my house, sometimes when girls come over, I'll give them oh, here's a NAND light, take it home with you.
You want to be on stream?
Yeah,
Take
I give them.
well.
Yes, I have a whole basket of studio goodies I just hand out. When people come over, want an
I'm
extra battery?
Up.
Would you like a, yeah, there you go. Have a SIM card. But there's just all this free shit that's available to you. If you want to travel to places, sometimes for credit card shit, let's say that I spend a lot of money on my business. Okay. Let's say that I just want to travel first class everywhere. I haven't done this yet because I'm a lazy piece of shit, but I could just get an American Airlines card and I could just do all of my business spend on that card. And assuming I'm spending at least, what is it? Is it even $80,000 a year? which depending on your business is going to be easy. You're like automatically now you're a fucking double, triple platinum airlines member, and now you just get like a whole bunch of fucking crazy shit for free. There's like this cusp of like when you're upper middle class where you finally have money to spend, but you don't have the connections, where all of this stuff is actually pretty expensive. But then when you cross over into this next world, there's just like so much free shit that is available to you that it just feels like kind of busted. Even when I was talking about buying, when I wanted to get a fucking, what is it, a 991911912 fucking whatever Porsche, like I had people that were emailing me. It's like, oh, like I've got a friend who's like looking to sell this thing, or like, oh, I know a dealership with blah, blah, blah. I don't understand I could have bought one for like 20 grand or whatever. But I just, it's kind of crazy how so much stuff opens up to you where it's like, even though you have the money to spend, you don't even necessarily have to anymore.
Do you think that's how Hassan gets his vintage Cartier? Does he get like access to a vintage thrift shop that only rich people can go to?
No. But the only reason I would say that for Hassan is because I don't think anybody high fashion and all that. Well, I don't know if these things are kind of high fashion, but like the fashion world is kind of like its own thing, and I don't think Hassan has any crossover to that world at all. But if he did, then yeah, he probably would get stuff to wear because people want, because people
want you to be seen in it.
Yeah, they want their products to be associated with those people, and they want to get in with those crowds, and they have 100% he gets sent clothes and stuff to wear because it's advertising. I don't know. I doubt that's true. But he got tailored suits from China. Okay, from China maybe. That I would believe actually, but
Bing chilling.
But I only mention this for this like company shit because this is like crazy incestuous company shit that like the opportunities and stuff afforded to Elon here are pretty fucking retarded in my opinion.
Are not the SpaceX engineers trying to get to Mars. They're the venture capitalists and banks, including Morgan Stanley, who were at first stock holding billions in underwater debt from Musk's chaotic buyout of Twitter. Thanks to the XAI SpaceX merger, those lenders have been made whole in SpaceX equity, conveniently timed just before the largest IPO in history. Now, historically, investment bankers won IPO mandates by demonstrating deep sector expertise, long-term advisory relationships, and a willingness to work extremely long hours. It used to be quite a dignified business.
Wait. Be careful, Hassan's probably listening here. We'll say this talking point in 2 weeks. Shut the fuck up. Is this it? This is the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Was this on the Court of Appeals? No, I think it was a single judge's opinion that was written on this. Maybe it's at the end of this.
Kafka said it was a panel, though.
Yeah, it's a 3-judge panel, I think.
Oh, but the judge, it was just their opinion.
Dissent from the memorandum opinion and order granting preliminary injunction. Oh, it was this. I remember this. Jerry E. Smith, circuit judge, dissenting. He opens with this quote, "Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night."
Wait, does he really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
In my 37 years on the federal bench, this is the most outrageous conduct by a judge that I have ever encountered in a case in which I have been involved. The writing on this is just so funny. Ending a quote from Judge Brown. Ideally, of course, we'd have liked to see your dissent before we issued our opinion, but that will also be impossible. Yes, you heard that right. To summarize, in case the reader doesn't get the point, Judge Brown was announcing that he would issue an opinion 3 days later, an opinion that I hadn't even seen and might not be furnished before its issuance. That is unthinkable, but it occurred, and not accidentally.
Oh, I think I remember you reading this in the past, actually. I feel like I remember one of these being, like, unhinged.
Yeah, it's just... There's the old joke. What's the difference between God and a federal district judge? Answer, God doesn't think he's a federal judge. Or a different version of that joke. An angel rushes to the head of the heavenly host and says, "We have a problem. God has delusions of grandeur." The head angel calmly replies, "What makes you say that?" The first angel whispers, "He's wearing his robe and keeps imagining he's a federal judge." Only this time, it isn't funny. I dissent. This is crazy. This is a 3-judge panel in the district court written by a circuit judge, immediately appealable to the Supreme Court because Congress was really cooking with jurisdiction on gerrymandering cases. Because the obvious reason for the 2025 redistricting, of course, is partisan gain. Judge Brown commits grave error in concluding that the Texas legislature is more bigoted than political. I dissent. It's all politics on both sides of the partisan aisle. George and Alex Soros have their hands all over this. One of the plaintiff's top experts is Matt Barreto. He is a paid Soros operative and does not attempt to hide it. His CV confirms it. He expects to receive $2.5 million from George and Alexander Soros. Nor is this something new. Soros has been pumping money into Barreto's UCLA voting rights project for years, and this steady supply of money won't stop until 2026 at the earliest. Unsurprisingly, Barreto has been on quite a roadshow for years, parading across the country, opposing Republican redistricting. This is the tip of the iceberg. The lawyers are involved as well. This is crazy shit, bro. The federal judge is supposed to be like real shit, like the super serious guy. This is just wild. This whole thing is fucking.
Did he get voted in or appointed?
Federal judges think have to be appointed.
I think so, yeah.
Or appointed.
That's
and confirmed by the Senate,
though.
Right?
Yeah.
Judge Brown.
This is another reason.
Yeah, this is the bureaucracy being rotted. These are lifetime appointments.
He has the job for life.
Judge Brown, no stranger to inconsistency, is wrong. Imagine shitting on your other judges this way too. God, even the Supreme Court judges are not this brutal to each other. This is fucking crazy. If this were a law school exam, the opinion would deserve an F. This whole thing is crazy. Oh God, Patrick Boyle did a video with Kissin. Why? One thing I want to. Oh no.
Kissinger?
What? No.
Kissinger?
The one guy from Trigonometry. There's no way he did though. Constantine, yeah. Wait, did he? Did we watch that? No, shut the fuck up.
Did he?
No. That was a liar in Kick Chat.
Gonna go to a Diddy party in jail?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an interview style thing. Okay, whatever.
Where's the mic?
Unfortunate.
Well, apparently this new studio guy is renting out to these people and he's using... Oh, no. They have clip-ons. Fuck you. Or lav mics.
How are we going to set up our studio?
Good question.
Ooh, okay. That's a good answer. Good.
Pile the stuff if you want to, but the steel industry can't work here with the current setup. So,
Patrick, I was really excited to have you on because of everything that we're talking about, but also because, as I mentioned before, this rise of extremely left-wing economic ideas, which I find quite terrifying. Would you be able to explain to people
CENTCOM
why
will
the
be
tax
busy
rich
tonight because we are going to hit Iran hard. They're going to have to tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran. It's bridge night.
Oh, boy.
wealth taxes is not going to work, and it's not going to do what people hope they do, which is create a fairer society and wealth redistribution.
Yeah, I mean, in truth, like in sort of difficult times like the UK is in right now, many other countries, you see the rise of populism. And there's both left and right-wing populism, but essentially what populism often is it's giving voice to anger without necessarily any real solutions. So like you said, an idea of borrowing way more money than the country has ever and probably could borrow, that's not a solution. And a lot of the huge improvement could be made to the tax system in the UK. It's kind of interesting that actually the average British person has lower taxes on average than in a lot of the developed world, but then the middle and wealthier cohort pay very high taxes. So then all of these ideas of wealth tax and whatever, it's a funny thing because really what needs to be done is you need to spur productivity and growth in the UK. You can't tax an economy into growth. And a lot of the solutions that are put forth on really either side are more about voicing anger than about providing real solutions. And they're often, I don't like to beat up on people because they're often very well-meaning if sort of economically illiterate. Like they don't understand why that policy just wouldn't work. It's even like,
Okay, we have to finish this. So you're going over the Hunter Biden laptop story earlier. How do you explain that the FBI subpoenaed Apple and determined that the physical laptop was Hunter Biden's in 2024? I don't know if they actually 100% determined that, number one. But number two, it still doesn't necessarily exonerate my, or I don't know how to say exonerate. It doesn't prove the theory one way or another because somebody could have stolen the laptop and dropped it off. The big claim is that Hunter Biden dropped that laptop off. I don't believe he did. I don't think he did.
the first sign of slipping standards in investment banking.
And he's unequivocally said he didn't?
Yeah, on multiple occasions. At least 4 times that I've seen.
Hours. Yeah. It used to be quite a dignified business. The first sign of slipping standards in investment banking came in 2007, when the Goldman Sachs bankers who were pitching for the Lululemon IPO mandate turned up to the meeting, led by David Solomon, also known as DJ Sol, dressed head to toe in Lululemon athleisure wear. I want to be clear here, this slip in standards may well have been the event that triggered the global financial crisis that year. DJ Sol, the bad boy of corporate finance, this time around, boasted to the press that he secured the lead left position on the largest IPO in history by having his staffers help him send Elon Musk a direct message on Twitter. Morgan Stanley, which had cultivated a Musk relationship for years through their star tech banker Michael Grimes, is listed as co-lead. Their name appears second in alphabetical order, directly after Goldman Sachs. Morgan Stanley was apparently so furious about this that they forced SpaceX to explicitly clarify in the term sheet that the listing is purely alphabetical. 23 banks have crammed their names onto the cover of this prospectus.
Whoa.
The fees constitute the most lucrative Wall Street IPO payday ever. The only evidence of enterprise usage of Musk's Grok AI may well be the millions of dollars of licenses that Musk is forcing on his lead IPO banks. All of this brings us to the corporate governance structure of SpaceX, which is perhaps the most heavily fortified dictatorship ever brought to US public markets. The company will have a dual-class share structure. Regular investors will get Class A shares, which carry 1 vote, and Elon Musk gets Class B shares, which carry 10 votes each. While Musk only owns around 41% of SpaceX, he will control more than 85% of the votes, meaning that he can't ever be fired by shareholders. The company has also placed limits on how shareholders can file legal challenges. As SpaceX writes in the prospectus, this will limit or preclude your ability to influence corporate matters and the election of our directors.
Damn. Hold on, give me 1 second.
On top of that, because Elon Musk convinced NASDAQ to change their index inclusion methodology in order to win this listing, SpaceX will be fast-tracked for inclusion in the NASDAQ 100 index. This is a massive deal. The NASDAQ 100 is tracked by over $600 billion of passive investor money. By fast-tracking SpaceX into the index, countless pension funds and passive investors will become forced buyers of the stock almost immediately, long before there's any serious price discovery. And they'll own shares in a heavily cash-burning company where they have no voting power and no meaningful...
Wait, hold on. Oh my God. Why does YouTube do this sometimes? 2350.
When a company corporate matters and the election of our directors. On top of that, because Elon Musk convinced NASDAQ to change the NASDAQ 100 index, this is a massive deal. The NASDAQ 100 is tracked by over $600 billion of passive investor money. By fast-tracking SpaceX into the index, countless pension funds and passive investors will become forced buyers of the stock almost immediately, long before there's any serious price discovery. And they'll own shares in a heavily cash-burning company where they have no voting power and no meaningful ability to sue management. Musk has ensured that he will never lose his control over SpaceX. The filing reveals the creation of a...
I wonder if those 1021 notifications lag your... What notifications? What are you talking about?
New Class C non-voting stock. This exists so that SpaceX can acquire other companies in the future using that stock without ever diluting Musk's voting power. And if he ever decides to step down, he can place his super voting shares into trusts, passing those super voting shares onto his children, ensuring dynastic control. Finally, we get to his compensation package. You've most likely read about how Musk is getting 1 billion performance-based restricted shares, and how these shares only vest when SpaceX establishes a permanent human colony on Mars and hits a $7.5 trillion market cap. SpaceX...
What, this notification? Why would this slow my... Do you think they load every single one into memory or something? Shut the fuck up.
Explicitly describes the achievement of these milestones in the prospectus as being improbable. To be clear, this is not a sudden burst of candor from management. It's instead a bit of an accounting trick. Under accounting rules, if the company admitted that it was probable that Musk would get these shares, they would have to expense the full value of the award, potentially hundreds of billions of dollars on their income statement today. By categorizing the share grant as improbable, it gets booked at zero cost. But there's a trick. As law professor Ann Lipton points out, Musk doesn't actually need to achieve any of those hard-to-reach goals. He gets the utility of these shares immediately. He can vote them today, he can collect dividends on them today, and with the approval of a board that he entirely controls, he can pledge them as collateral for loans to get access to tax-free cash today. He gets all the benefits of owning the shares immediately based on a Mars colony that the company admits he will probably never build. Now, possibly the most extraordinary line in the entire prospectus is this. SpaceX renounced certain corporate opportunities that may be presented to Mr. Musk and certain of our directors and their respective affiliates, and such persons may have no duty to present such opportunities to us. What this means is that nothing stops Elon Musk from setting up a separate private company tomorrow to pursue whatever the next big tech trend is, rather than doing it inside SpaceX, which, if you remember him claiming Tesla was an AI company and then immediately starting XAI as a separate competing private entity, is a fairly relevant risk. As Ann Lipton summarized it, public shareholders in SpaceX will have no votes that matter, no ability to sell at a fair price discovered through normal market mechanisms, and no ability to sue the company for wrongdoing. No votes, no sales, no suits. There's one technology at SpaceX that everything else depends on. Not the AI, not the satellite internet, not the Mars colony. One rocket, Starship. The largest rocket ever built, is supposed to be the key to everything. Cheaper launches, bigger Starlink satellites, orbital data centers, a city on Mars, the NASA contracts. Without Starship, the entire $1.75 trillion story falls apart entirely. Yesterday, Barron's wrote that the Starship launch was a bigger deal for SpaceX than the IPO filing itself. The latest version of the rocket was supposed to launch before the IPO filing, but that launch was postponed. It was then supposed to launch yesterday, the day after the filing. Nicki Minaj even turned up to watch, but there were technical difficulties. According to the news, they're going to try again today, so we'll have to see how that goes. The problem so far is that Starship hasn't yet worked. It's still in the rapid, unscheduled disassembly phase of its development. It is yet to carry any cargo to orbit other than a banana, so as Barron's rightly states, this launch is really going to matter. The entire investment thesis is built around Starship achieving what SpaceX themselves call an insane flight rate, hundreds of launches per year, each carrying 200 tons into orbit. Starlink version 3 satellites, which are supposed to provide 20 times the capacity of current models, are too large for the existing rockets and require Starship. The orbital data center concept requires Starship to launch 1 million satellites. The Mars colony requires Starship to work reliably enough to transport 1 million people who, I guess, want to go there. If Starship fails to deliver, if the flight rate is half of what is promised, if the reliability is lower, and if the costs are higher, the entire valuation collapses. The $1.75 trillion number assumes Starship works exactly as advertised, on schedule, with no technical setbacks. History suggests that rockets rarely work exactly as advertised. So the company claiming to be worth $1.75 trillion is depending on a rocket that is yet to figure out how to land without exploding, which is a risk. Now, IPO prospectuses are required to tell investors specifically what the company will do with their money. This is called the use of proceeds. A piece by Cape Fear Advisors points out how hard you have to dig, including through the footnotes, to grasp the full picture of SpaceX's use of proceeds. The IPO is expected to raise between $50 and $75 billion. When you add up all of the commitments buried in the document, the company needs approximately $235 billion over the next few years, between 3 and 5 times the IPO proceeds. What this means is that the IPO is not the end of fundraising, it's just the beginning. Matt Levine summed up how investors should think about this vibes-based investment in his Money Stuff newsletter. He writes, if you're buying SpaceX stock to tell Elon Musk what to do, you should stop. If you're buying SpaceX stock because you want exposure to the space AI business, but you have your doubts about current management, you should stop. If you're buying SpaceX stock because you like Elon Musk and want to go along for the ride with him, yes, that's correct. That's the investment thesis here. If later you're disillusioned with Elon Musk, if you feel that you were misled that he didn't do the stuff he promised to do, well, that's kind of his whole thing. If you found this video interesting, you should watch this video on private credit next. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Saley, using
I'm
the
not
link
watching
in the
that.
description. And see you in the next video. Bye.
Wow.